So this is the Valerion VisionMaster Plus2. There's a bit of confusion with the name because previously in communications with Valerion reps, they said they were sending me the StreamMaster Plus2. Now they list both a StreamMaster Plus2 and a VisionMaster Plus2 on their website. Very similar specs other than the brightness and the contrast ratio. So I quizzed them about it because what arrived in the box and labelled on the box is actually a VisionMaster Plus2, not a StreamMaster. So I just wanted clarification. As it turns out, they did internally rename the VisionMaster Plus2 to StreamMaster Plus2, and for reasons unknown, both exist on the website. So whether they're both the same or not in terms of the specs, the brightness and the contrast ratio, I don't actually know. I am waiting for clarification on that. But I have had the Dangbei MP1 Max here as well. Now I had the Dangbei MP1 Max on this same setup. I'll put some B-roll images or footage on here right now so you can see what that looks like here. But that was really good, and that's just over 3,000 lumens claimed. And from other reviews and things, I don't actually have a light meter to measure the lumens with, but I'm just sort of gauging based on experience. And it seems fairly accurate based on those other reviews as well. So I trust that. This, I think on paper, it's not as bright on its specs as the MP1 Max, but it does a better job. And both of them are triple RGB laser emitters. So you'd think they'd be very similar, but no, this is actually a lot clearer. Well, not a lot clearer, it is just clearer. The contrast is clearer, basically. So the blacks are inkier in their black tone. If I play something which has, let's play this. I don't know if it's going to have... Yeah, so this has got some black in it. So across the top, you can see those areas are much darker. Well, not much darker, it's like a noticeable amount darker than they were on the MP1 Max, or would be on the MP1 Max. And it's just the way it controls that is different. And I've noticed it's in part due to Valerion putting in a lot of AI features. So you've got this AI box menu, which is the top on the remote. It's the top right button on the remote. And I'll put a picture of the remote here in the B-roll as well. And you can change various things like AI scene, dark detail, super resolution. I found this actually helps really a lot. It brings out more detail in an image. And the higher the resolution the base is, like 4K, the better the detail becomes as well. It's just like super resolution in computer games, DLSS, FSR, and so on. It just improves the detail and sharpness without being distracting, so that's cool. So that's the AI box menu. You've also got some additional menus in the main picture settings. So the other benefit is this remote is fully featured, and you've got a dedicated button to fly out the Android, so the Google TV, which is based on Android, that fly out menu, the toggles. You've also got a dedicated button for the fly out down here. So this is specific to Valerion, where you can just quick access various settings that you'd have to go through the main menu to then sift through toggle menus and screens to get to. So the convenience aspect is there. They've obviously put a lot of thought into it, and it's really good. I don't know why I pressed the AirPlay button there, sorry. So yeah, I just use it a lot now just to get to it. And you can also get to the main Android settings through there too. So you don't have to use the flyout on the top right. You just got it within easy access straight away. So I'm going to go to picture settings to show you, because I'm in SDR mode at the moment. I'm not playing any HDR content, but I wanted to go over the settings that I found visually to be the best for, at least from my point of view anyway. I've got a QD-OLED 32-inch Alienware AW3225QF, just to the left of the camera here, because my camera is resting on my desk. That's calibrated. I've got a spectral, and I've used the i1 Display Pro to calibrate that and check the pre-factory calibration as well, which is more or less accurate to what I calibrated anyway. So that's accurate in SDR content to D65K, 110 lumens, CDM2 for the luminance peak, and that's just perfect. It's what I'd consider to be a perfect calibration for my photo editing, video editing, and so on. And visually matching up the projection to that display, because they're both basically side by side. I'll put a flyout again, B-roll on this, next to each other, and they look identical in terms of colors. Not the brightness, because the QD-OLED is obviously going to be way brighter because it's 1000 nits of HDR brightness and it's an OLED panel. So it has the trait of being way brighter in its overexposed highlights in the highlight areas of an image. So that's just to be expected. But in general, they both present a similar color and similar brightness level overall. So that's really good. It means the settings that I've nailed down now are fairly accurate. And here are the settings. So I just go through them bit by bit. The picture mode is on cinema, and I found the others are good. They're more vibrant and so on, and give or take here and there in the black levels, but the cinema just seemed to be the most neutral and most aligned out of the box without changing any of the other settings to the QD-OLED display. And then I went through and tweaked some of the other settings. So if you go to general, I didn't change anything here. I left these as they are. Auto detection seems to work fine. AI scene is off. I just don't want it to do anything with the scenes. So I just left that off. Laser luminance, that was on 10 by default, but you can put it on, 8 by default, but you can put it on 10 to increase the brightness slightly. I haven't noticed the fans spinning up louder or anything like that as a result of putting it on 10. So I've been testing right now with 8 and 10 just to see what the differences are in content. I can notice, I don't know if it's obvious in the video right now, but if I put it to 8, which is the default, the color tone or the hue is slightly warmer, ever so slightly warmer than it is at 10. There's like a green hint, very slight green hint at 10 to do with the laser luminance. So I'd say 8 looks more natural and more closer to my QD-OLED, but 10 gives you that slight edge in additional brightness from the lasers. So maybe in shadow details and dark areas of a frame, it might be more important. But I mean, it's splitting hairs, to be honest. It just 8 or 10 will go down to the color balance that you're looking for. And I'm going to stick it on 8 because that just feels the most natural. Enhanced black level, I've left that on just dark level enhancement, not the high dynamic contrast option, because you've got 3 options there. One of them is being off. And I also like that Valerion have put in little hints and previews and text to tell you what each setting does compared to other projectors running Google TV. So none of the Dangbays do this. The JMGO N14 or N1S 4K doesn't do this. Dangbay Fredo doesn't do this. Some of the other projectors I've had, they don't do this. So this is nice. This is like a level of polish that you kind of expect at this price range. And not only the material quality of the remote, which is, you know, aluminium, and the buttons are non-rubber, so it's like it's never going to wear out and stuff like that. It's just everything from outside to inside, and the software has been well thought out, and I think that gives it the level of experience that you want at this price range as well. So contrast I've left as default, black level I've left at default, dark detail I left that on just because it does help in some content. So you can't see it in this preview here because this is just static imagery moving. But dark detail is on. Gamma I've left at default, should be 2.2 anyway. Active contrast does make a difference, and you may be able to see it in some of the images here in the video. I can see it by eye, but maybe not in the video. So I've left it on high because that does make a difference. Brightness enhancer is off. HDR enhancer is off. Now this is like imagine RTX HDR on PC gaming. It converts, or it tone maps SDR to HDR. Sometimes it can look good, other times not so much. So I left it off because in SDR content, I just want to view the SDR. I don't want it to pseudo HDR or anything like that. So I left that off. So that's the laser luminance screen. If we go to color, there are some changes here. I found Warm 2 to be most closest to the QD-OLED. Warm 1 has a bit of a green/yellow tint to it, which I didn't like. So I've left that on Warm 2. And the color space is native, so this keeps in line with the content that you're viewing, the native color of that content, and I found that to be the most accurate as well. Dynamic color enhancer is off for the same reasons. So if we go back to clarity now, Smooth gradient I've left on low. Now you can put it on medium or high if you want to, and it does make a big difference even on low compared to off. So all of those little YouTube videos that you watch that have banding, you know, if you're watching underwater documentary videos and so on, as this sunlight pans through the depth of the waters, you get those banding lines that you get on everything anyway, just because of YouTube compression and streaming and all that kind of stuff. Putting it on low minimizes those banding lines and it smooths those out without affecting the sharpness or detail or anything else. Medium sort of improves that further, and high is maximum, so everything is smooth basically, and you shouldn't really see any banding lines at all. I like it on low just because it's enough to not be a distraction, but the medium and high can be slightly more aggressive on certain videos that you watch. So this is mainly applying to streaming videos, or if you're on Netflix, then the 1080p package might not be as high detail in bitrate and everything like that as the 4K package, so it helps for that as well. So low is fine, but you can just preference it out and see what works for you. Super resolution is on, I've mentioned that already, that works really well. Noise reductions, all of them are off because I don't really like having the noise reduction features on. Sometimes you can see a bit of artifacting and so on, so I just leave that off. Motion enhancement, this is where it mimics smoothness of, it gives you an almost CGI-like motion to everything. A lot of TV manufacturers have this feature on by default. I hate it. I prefer to see my 30 FPS or 24 FPS or 60 FPS as it's intended by the content. So I leave that off for both SDR and HDR. And I say both because I'll talk about that in a minute for HDR content. And that's it for clarity. Under calibration settings, I haven't touched any of these. You can tweak these if you want to, and you can check your color balance and stuff as well. But I've not needed to touch those just because it matches up to my QD-OLED visually. So there's no need to touch any of these. And you've got a reset. So that's it for the picture. And that is all I changed really, and don't need to do anything else. And this feels and looks natural to my eyes. There's a bit of punch to the primary colors that are red, green and blue, but that's fine. You kind of want that in a projector like this because you want it to stand out on the projection. So now if I go and play some HDR content, so I'll load up YouTube for this, and I've got some saved already in a playlist, so let's just see if I can find those. Watch later, and I think this is the one. So this is one of my favorite demos to use to just showcase what this is capable of, and we'll just pause it and go back to the beginning. And it'll be from here. So just keep an eye on the level of pop out that the colors have on this, and the black level, the depth of that black in the background is just insanely dark. There's no sort of backlight bleeding through, or the backlight from the projection screen, sorry, it's all laser obviously, so it's got that depth. And because I've got a grey screen, the contrast is improved even further because it's absorbing any sort of ambient light that would otherwise cause that black level to be lifted. It's just insane, the quality of it. And this is more crisp, and the picture is nicer than the Dangba MP1 for MP1 Max. So just let this play through, and I'll pause it here for the moment because we are in HDR mode, and I can show you the settings in HDR mode. And now you can probably see, I don't know if it's going to be completely clear, but the picture mode is set to HDR cinema. So if I go over to picture and drill down, we now have a picture mode set as HDR cinema. So this is what I was mentioning earlier on both. So when you apply changes to one, and the sources are independent as well, so YouTube has its own settings, Prime Video has its own settings, and so on, and then you can apply it for all sources as well. So HDR cinema is what I found to be most accurate. Again, in HDR, again, I'm comparing with my QD-OLED set to HDR mode, playing the same content and putting them side by side. So in general, again, the same, nothing changed there. Laser luminance, I don't think I changed anything here. I just left those as default again. I'm going to put that back down to 8, although it doesn't really matter now for this. So there is a slight hint, not as much as an SDR, but there is a slight hint of warmth lowering ever so slightly, going from 10 to 8 in the luminance level. But it doesn't really matter. Again, this is going to be down to preference on an individual basis. So I'll leave it on HDR, on 10 for HDR mode, just because I want it to be that little bit brighter when playing HDR content. Contrast is the same as before. Actually, no, on SDR I think the contrast was 40. So I might, yeah, I've left it on 50 because that's the default for this. And it's on 40 for SDR if I remember right. If not, it's the default, whatever it is. Dark detail is on, obviously, as well. Gamma you can't change because you're in HDR mode. The content is controlling that. Active contrast is on high. Brightness enhancer is off. And dynamic tone mapping is on for this because this does actually make a difference. It makes the contrast ratio pop out on the colored content more. So this helps in HDR mode. So I'd say leave this on. And that's it for the laser luminance. Under color, there's not much changed again. Warm 2 is the best once again. Color space is native, so it keeps in line with the contents color, and dynamic color enhancer is set to high this time around, just because you want that extra pop in HDR mode, but not necessarily in SDR mode, because 99% of content out there is SDR anyway, so you just want that to be as native as possible, which is fine. Under clarity, same again, smooth gradients on low, super res on, and the rest are all off. And that is it. So that is it. Really simple, really easy. At first glance, it seems quite overwhelming just because there are so many options to sort of play around with, and it can just seem like quite a lot. But just keep in mind, this thing, the VisionMaster Plus2, it remembers your settings on a per output or per source basis. So whenever you open up a new app they haven't tweaked the brightness and color settings for already, just go into the settings and check that they are still consistent with what you want from the other sources and apps and things as well, because sometimes it will have independent settings on a per app basis, so it's worth sort of checking all that. So the other settings, I don't think there's really much I need to go through. There's not really much else to change. Under projection settings, so if we go to all settings under the toggles and go to projector, I've left the auto keystone stuff, so whenever you move it or tilt it or whatever, it does an auto alignment and things. I don't like that. I like to do that all manually. So I always go to manual adjustment and I do it all manually through there. And you can do trapezoid by holding the OK button as well, and you get trapezoid adjustments, which you don't get on the other projectors, which is quite cool. So I thought that was a nice feature to be included with. And if I go back to the settings, go down to projector, and here you can do manual focus, although the remote on the top left here, don't know if it's visible in the video there, it has a dedicated focus button anyway, so you press that once and it does an autofocus. It takes like 2 seconds, which is really cool. You then have your dedicated position adjustments and things. These are all fairly standard for other projectors too. It's just a bit more well laid out here on this one. The only thing I don't like is every time you click the back button when you're in that drill down menu, it goes back to the content, which I kind of wish it didn't do. So you have to go back to projector and then do all that kind of stuff as well. Wall color adaptation, which is quite cool. So if I just go into there now, the color of the screen will be adjusted automatically to fit the color of the wall to achieve the best color experience. So this is quite cool. It can adapt the color to the type of screen that you have. So mine is grey, for example. I've already been through this process once, so I don't need to go through it again, but it's quite a cool thing to have and tweak. From a content point of view, you've got quite a lot of options to tweak for the type of content you're going to be consuming, and you've got a whole load of options that have been well laid out and well thought out. I mean, you've got high altitude mode, which I've not seen before. DLP turbo, for some reason, when you turn it on, it messes it up, which I don't really like. So I don't really use that, and I haven't found that I need to use that either. 3D I don't use, so I don't really look into that, to be honest. And that's it under projector. The rest are all user preference. There's nothing really specific that you need to do to know as a tip or a hint. Sound settings, Wi-Fi, all of that stuff. These are all user preference, so set them up to how you want it. But yeah, this projector this is my reference now, and I really like it. I've had no issues with it. I don't know if you can hear through the microphone, but it's not like completely silent, but it's quieter than other projectors. The MP1 Max, you can hear the fan, it spins a lot louder. Whereas this is just it's more like a hum. It doesn't get any louder than this. And I'm in laser luminance 10 as well at the moment. So yeah, it's a decent projector, you know. It's bright, it's punchy on the colors, the sound is decent as well. Although I will say the speakers in the JM Go N1S 4K, they are better than the ones in the Valerion and the Dangbei MP1 4 Max. I don't know what it is, for some reason just the bass and the vocals and things just sound way richer. It's like it's making use of that Dolby sound. Now, both the Dangbei and the Valerion have the same Dolby features for the sound, but they don't sound as good. It's like the speakers are missing that punch, that low down depth that the N1S from JM Go has. But the picture isn't as good on the JM Go as the Dangbei, nor is the picture on the Dangbei as good as the Valerion. So yeah, it swings and roundabouts on what you want. I mean, it's good enough. I can Bluetooth or connect up to my hi-fi speakers anyway, so I'm not losing out on much if I need to, but I'm happy with what the speakers are like on the Valerion VisionMaster Plus2 as it is anyway, so I've got no reason to complain really. But it's just keeping that in mind that a cheaper projector does have better speakers, and the JM Go is 4K as well, triple laser, so you kind of get that with that one. If I go back to the Google TV home screen, yeah, performance is fine as well. I have found that even going into the flyout menu from Google TV, the response rate and the polished smoothness and the latency of the input controls and things are a lot quicker and a lot snappier than the other Dangbeis and JM Go's. You have to wait for them to sort of respond and process. So whatever the chipset is inside this, or whatever the optimizations are that Valerion have made, definitely paying off. It's obviously got more memory and more storage, 128 gigs of storage and 4 gigs of memory. And you can also, I suppose this is a good time to show that, if you go to apps and go to device assistant, it gives you, or they give you, a system optimized thing. So if your apps are slowing down or whatever, you can click that and it optimizes it. But you can also do memory cleaner, storage cleaner, and so on. So if I go to memory cleaner, you can see what's taking up a lot of memory that you might have installed and clean those up. You've got the same for storage as well. And it's just like Android, you know. And the other cool feature is, if your wireless performance is not up to scratch, then you've got a network check function, which has a comprehensive list of things that you can do. Now, it's not just basic checks. This is actually full in. So similar to on Samsung phones, you've got a proper in-depth wireless channel survey that it does, and it shows you what channels are good and what channels are bad, so you can configure your wireless router to get the best out of your phone. This has the same thing. So if we do a wireless channel check, so if I do a scan right now, it's going to do a quick scan and list out all the channels and what it recommends as the best. So I'm currently in channel 44 and it's recommending me I do channel 36. This is on the 5 gigahertz band. I already know that my neighborhood in this area, very few people use 5 gigahertz. So you can see they're all green. There's no need to worry at all. So I'm not going to change anything because I don't need to. If I go to details, then we can see a chart rundown of my SSID, and they're both smooth. So the recommended channel and the current channel are both smooth, so I don't need to change anything again. And you can see different channels and so on as well. And you can see what others on the network. So there's only one other home network nearby, probably one of my neighbors, on an alternative channel. And that's on the 5 gigahertz band again. So it'll only show you the band that you're currently connected to, which is 5 gig. It would show 2.5 if I was on 2.5 and so on. I've got one for signal strength as well. So you can click on detected wireless SSIDs and show the signal strength. So my wireless is around about minus 55 dB. So which is fine. That's not like, it's not low. And a speed test, if I do speed test, I think this takes a little bit. So it's showing the link speed as 960 Mbps, which is about right. because we're connected to the 5 gigahertz, which is going to be 1200 meg bandwidth on my router, which is a Linksys MX4200. And it takes a while to connect to the server. I'm not sure what server it actually connects to, but I was averaging around about 400 to 450, and it'll continue to go up and up. So it's RID 141, so it's obviously connecting to a non-UK server. But you can install the speedtest.net app, which uses UK servers and things. So yeah, so that's really good. So I'm really happy to see something like that. The hardware check just tests your components of the hardware. I'm on mute, so I didn't hear anything, so we'll just go back to do that. But yeah, you can do a quick hardware check just in case you suspect something might be up. System optimize, yeah, it just does a memory cleaner, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, again, that's really cool to see. You do get some apps installed by default, like Live TV, the ITV Level Lab apps, and so on, and Channel 4, depending on your region. But yeah, that's all good. I've also installed an app called CX File Explorer because it allows me to add a network PC. So my PC on the left here, I've added it already. I can just click onto it and then browse its drives. So I've got some media and things that I can play, and I've had no problems playing 4K HDR content, whether it's Dolby Vision or anything else. The default built-in media player, it plays them fine without complaining about codecs and things. And that's another point to make, because the Dangbays and the JM Go's and the others, they complain with the default player that a codec is missing. Whereas with the Valerion, it seems the codecs are all built into the default video player. So you don't need to install VLC or a third-party app with codec and so on supporting those files. I've been able to play all of them, including Windows Media videos and MP4s and MKVs and whatever the container may be. The codecs have played straight away, and it's been fine. The only thing the default player doesn't do is it doesn't support position memory. So if you came back to the same content later and played it, it would resume from the start. So you need to make a mental note of where you were. And there's nowhere to save a bookmark or anything in the player. So maybe VLC is a better option in that regards. But yeah, it's something that I haven't bothered with just because I don't need to. Because if I'm watching something on here, I'm watching it from start to finish, not pausing it or going away and doing something else coming back. So yeah, again, user preference. But the fact that you can do this so easily, you'll have to put in your credentials obviously as well. But yeah, the fact that you can do that so simply is a huge benefit. I'm going to turn it off now with the remote so you can see what the fan's like in silence, and it does turn off the fan straight away. So I'm just going to press power button now and listen for the ambience now versus when I press the button. So I'm just going to get the control in the view, and here I go. And that's it. So that's the Valerion VisionMaster Plus2. Hope you enjoyed that. If there's anything anyone wants me to check, leave a comment in the description below. But until then, I'll see you in the next video. The docking sequence in Interstellar. There we go.
Dr. Man, do not, I repeat, do not open the hatch. I repeat, do not open the hatch. If you open the hatch, the airlock will depressurize. What happens if you close the airlock?
Nothing good.
Okay, pull back. Retro thrusters, everything we got, Case.
Pressures at full.
Back.
Case, relay my transmission to the onboard computer and have it rebroadcast as emergency PA. Dr. May, open the air hatch. Do not open the air hatch. I repeat, do not.
Rand?
I don't know what he said to you,
But I'm taking command of the Endurance.
and then we can talk about completing the mission.
Dr. Mann, listen to me.
This is not about my life or Cooper's life. This is about all mankind. There is a moment.
It is not
Cooper, there's no point using your fuel to chase...
Analyze the endurance's spin.
Cooper, what are you doing?
Docking.
Endurance rotation is 67, 68 RPM.
Okay, get ready to match our spin with the retro thrusters.
It's not possible.
No, it's necessary.
Endurance is hitting stratosphere.
She's got no heat shield.
Okay, she ready?
Ready. Cooper, this is no time for caution.
Okay, so if I black out, you take the stick.
Guard,
Get ready to engage the docking mechanism.
Endurance is starting to heat.
20 feet out.
I need 3 degrees starboard, Cooper.
10 feet out.
Cooper, we are lined up.
Initiating spin. Come on, Tars. Come on, Tars. They are rocking up. Ease it up. Easy. Retro thrusters. Main engines on. Pushing out of orbit. Come on, baby. Killing main engines. Okay, we're out of orbit. Okay.
I don't know how that came out on video, but that looks quite incredible from where I'm sitting.